In 1901, Greek sponge divers found something that would rewrite history. They were diving off the tiny island of Antikythera, between Crete and Greece. On the seafloor, they found the remains of an ancient Roman shipwreck. The ship had sunk around 70 BC, carrying luxury goods from the eastern Mediterranean. The divers brought up bronze statues, glassware, coins, and jewelry. But among the treasure was a corroded lump of bronze that nobody noticed. It was shoebox-sized, encrusted with 2,000 years of marine growth. Months later, archaeologist Valerios Stais noticed something extraordinary. Hidden inside the corrosion were tiny, precisely cut bronze gears. Gears this sophisticated should not have existed in the ancient world. No one believed ancient Greeks could build something this complex. The artifact was filed away in Athens and largely forgotten. For decades, it gathered dust while the world moved on. Then, in 1951, British historian Derek de Sala Price took an interest. Price recognized the gears were part of a calculating machine. He spent 20 years studying it and published a landmark paper in 1974. He called it an ancient Greek computer, but Price had only scratched the surface. The device survived as 82 separate fragments, all heavily corroded. The largest piece, Fragment A, contained 27 surviving gears. The original machine likely contained at least 37 interlocking gears. Each gear was hand-cut from bronze, with teeth just 1 millimeter wide. This precision was extraordinary for any era, let alone 2,000 years ago. The breakthrough came in 2005, when researchers used X-ray tomography to scan the fragments. The scans revealed hidden gears and inscriptions invisible to the naked eye. Over 35 characters of ancient Greek text were found engraved on its surfaces. These inscriptions were an instruction manual, explaining how to operate the device. And what this device could do was astonishing. The front dial displayed the sun and moon against the zodiac throughout the year. It tracked the sun using the Egyptian calendar of 365 days. But the moon dial was far more impressive. It modeled the moon's irregular orbit using a gear mounted slightly off-center. This replicated the moon's variable speed, based on calculations by Hipparchus. A tiny half-silver, half-black sphere rotated to show the current lunar phase. The back held two large spiral dials, each with its own purpose. The upper spiral was the metonic dial, tracking a 19-year lunar cycle. This cycle aligned the lunar calendar with the solar year. Inside, it was a smaller dial, tracking the 4-year Olympic Games cycle. It listed competitions at Olympia, Nemea, Isthmia, Pythia, and a fifth from Rhodes. That fifth event, the Halia, was a vital clue to the machine's origin. The lower spiral was the Saros dial, designed to predict eclipses. The Saros cycle repeats every 223 lunar months, roughly 18 years. By turning a hand crank, a user could dial forward or backward through time. The mechanism would then show exactly when the next eclipse would occur. It specified whether an eclipse would be solar or lunar, and at what hour. Inside the Saros dial was the Exeligmos dial, correcting for fractional days. But the most controversial discovery was on the front face. The front dial also displayed the 5 planets known to the ancient Greeks. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn each had their own gear train. The gears even replicated retrograde motion, the apparent backward movement of planets. Pin and slot gears converted circular motion into variable speed to achieve this. In total, the mechanism was a mechanical model of the known cosmos. Turn a crank, and the entire universe moved in miniature before your eyes. So who built this extraordinary machine? The inscriptions use a Corinthian dialect linked to colonies of Corinth. The Halia reference points strongly to the island of Rhodes. Rhodes was home to one of history's greatest astronomers, Hipparchus. Hipparchus calculated the lunar month to within 1 second of the modern value. The mechanism's gear ratios encode exactly Hipparchus's values. Some historians believe it was built in a workshop connected to his school. Others point to Syracuse, home of the legendary Archimedes. Cicero described seeing a bronze sphere by Archimedes that modeled planetary motions. Whether Archimedes inspired the design or built a prototype remains unknown. What we know is the mechanism was built between 150 and 100 BC. It was likely being shipped to a wealthy Roman patron when the ship sank. Romans prized Greek scientific instruments as luxury status symbols, but the mechanism was the most advanced object on the entire ship. What makes it truly shocking is what came after, or rather, what didn't. After Rome fell, the knowledge to build such devices vanished from Europe. Nothing this complex appeared again for over 1,000 years. Medieval clockwork didn't match it until the 14th century. Some of its techniques weren't reinvented until the Renaissance. This raises a profound question: how much ancient knowledge was lost? The Library of Alexandria, humanity's greatest knowledge store, was destroyed over centuries. Wars and upheaval erased entire traditions of Greek mechanical engineering. The mechanism survived only by accident, preserved by the cold, dark sea. If the ship had arrived, the device would have been used and eventually melted down. We would never have known it existed. In 2021, University College London attempted to build a complete working replica. They used computer modeling to fill in the missing gear trains. Even with modern tools, recreating it proved extraordinarily difficult. Fitting 5 planetary gear trains into the tiny front face was the biggest challenge. The ancient engineers had solved a problem that modern scientists found genuinely hard. UCL proposed using concentric tubes to carry each planet's output. Their reconstruction matched every surviving fragment and inscription. Today, the original fragments sit in the National Archaeological Museum of Athens. Visitors walk past them, unaware they're looking at the world's first computer. The corroded lumps don't look impressive behind the glass, but inside lies proof that ancient minds were far more advanced than we imagined. Ongoing research continues revealing new details. New inscriptions describe eclipse color predictions and wind direction. The builders predicted not just when eclipses would occur, but their color. Eclipse color was tied to omens, making this feature both scientific and cultural. The mechanism blurred science and belief, just as it blurs ancient and modern. There may have been many such devices. This is simply the only survivor. Cicero mentioned at least 2 such devices, and ancient texts hint at others. An entire tradition of mechanical genius may have been completely erased. This mechanism is our only window into that lost world. The ancient Greeks didn't just philosophize about the cosmos, they built it in bronze. 2,000 years before the digital age, someone turned a crank and predicted the future. What other wonders might still be waiting on the ocean floor? If this story amazed you, subscribe to Fossil to Fact for more incredible discoveries. Drop a comment telling us what ancient mystery to investigate next. The Antikythera Mechanism, proof that genius has no era.